The TGIF Report is brought to you by 717 Credit Union.
Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to the TGIF Report. I'm Mike Moliterno. Once prominent at the corner of Liberty Road and Wardle Avenue on the east side of Youngstown, the Mount Hope Veterans Memorial Park Cemetery tells a story of history, neglect, and community revival. Once overgrown and forgotten, this final resting place for many of the city's veterans and working-class families is undergoing a transformation thanks to the dedicated efforts of local volunteers. For our final Friday video in Black History Month, we revisit a video from our archives showing the challenges and triumphs in restoring dignity to this sacred ground. On the east side of Youngstown in the Sharon Line neighborhood sits the Mount Hope Veterans Cemetery. Hallowed ground as it may be, the cemetery went neglected for many years until a local group mobilized in an effort to preserve it and return it to its former state.
As you can see, it's a large area to keep up with.
Annette Brown is the chairwoman of the Mount Hope Veterans Memorial Park Inc. Committee, a nonprofit that's working to maintain the cemetery.
My involvement is personal and passionate. My mother's buried here. I have a sister, grandmother, grandfather, and uncle. Families have approached us that, at least now we can go and get to our loved one's grave.
Committee member Jimmy Hughes says it's taken many hours and more than a few ruined mower blades to get the cemetery in the condition it's in today.
When I first started cutting here with this organization, it was 5 feet. The grass was 5 feet. You couldn't see a headstone nowhere.
But there's a lot of work still to do. Everywhere you look, you'll find graves in need of repair, headstones being overtaken by nature, or missing altogether.
That's the main thing. Make it look like a normal cemetery, which is really not hard, but, a lot of dirt, a lot of cutting.
But the committee is also working to preserve the history of Mount Hope, says member Nathan Queener.
The origin is kind of hard to figure out because it's never really been the cemetery. It's always been in private hands. Most cemeteries are public property and you have public records. Well, Mount Hope is a little bit different. It started out probably as Indian land. Then it became a potter cemetery. If you had no money or you were pretty poor, you probably got buried out here.
By the mid-20th century, Mount Hope was a final resting place for people from all over Youngstown, including many veterans, and it's still in use today.
There was a burial over here, like I said, just a few months back, because anyone that has purchased a grave prior to or whenever, they are still able to be interred here at the cemetery.
Though Mount Hope is full of history, many of its stories are in danger of being lost. Information that at other cemeteries would be simple to find is largely unknown at Mount Hope. For instance, no one is really sure just how many people are buried here. In fact, it's not even really known where exactly the cemetery ends. The more brush and grass they clear, the more tombstones they find.
There's graves in the brush right here, and there's some on the perimeter, the skirts of that road that I was trying to describe. Yeah, there are stones there.
But even in its current condition, Mount Hope has a lot of stories to tell.
There's a rumor that Marilyn Monroe's father is buried out here. There is a guy by the name of Harry Sloan that's buried here. They called him the ringmaster.
In the last row of the most well-kept part of the cemetery lies a reminder of one of the greatest tragedies to ever occur in the city.
I was a little girl. I was just starting school, first grade.
In 1963, a fire claimed the lives of the 4 children of the Hall family. With the exception of 1-year-old Deveda, the children's pictures are still visible on the headstone.
And even as a little kid, though, it's something I remember. Everybody was just upset and crying, and just how tragic that was, for the neighborhood.
The committee finances its work through fundraisers, banquets, and donations. Brown says the end goal is to create a suitable resting place for the people buried here.
To us, it's like any other cemetery. It anchors us. It's where our families are. It's where our history is.
We are determined to keep it going. So as long as we're able to move around, that's been a commitment from each of us that we're going to do what we can to make sure that Mount Hope Cemetery is not forgotten.
717 Credit Union. Savings power to give your business an extra boost. Business savings, certificates, and business money market. 717 Credit Union. Make your money work as hard as you do. Check out our business money market and CD rates at 717cu.com/rates.